Ooh la la indeed. Let's go. Everybody, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. You have reached the Modest Audiophile channel, and yes, today we're going to talk about the 1973 release, The Faces Ooh La La. This is the Rhino High Fidelity edition that was released in January. Really, really good. More on this in a second. Alright, so what we're going to talk about today is why I got the album, the overall presentation and the packaging of this Rhino High Fidelity series. We'll talk a little bit about how it sounds, and then some of my overall thoughts. Let you go, and lickety-split. Alright, so real quick with the history here, and I'll try to backfill this with some pictures because I read a couple things that I thought was interesting that I'd like to share. Alright, real quick. This album was recorded at Olympic Studios in London between September of 1972 and January of 1973. It was released in March of 1973 on, the label was Warner Brothers. Producer was Glyn Johns. And the overall length of this album is only 30 minutes and 22 seconds. That's one of my gripes. It's too short. It came out right after the 1971 Faces release of A Nod is as Good as a Wink to a Blind Horse. And obviously there was some, we'll get into this here real quick. There were a lot of Rod Stewart's initial solo albums that were coming out between A Nod and a Wink and Ooh La La, which kind of created a little bit of tiff in the band, and we'll talk about that here right now. A little bit of background. By the end of 1972, following the critical and commercial successes of Rod Stewart's solo albums, the singer had become increasingly distanced from some of his Faces bandmates, who were frustrated that by this point they had come to be perceived by the public, and even by some concert promoters, as little more than Stewart's backing band for live work. Stewart himself was reportedly distracted enough by his newfound stardom that he missed the 2 first weeks of recording sessions for the latest Faces album entirely. The rest of the band used the studio time to rehearse and record a plethora of instrumentals and backing tracks, including material that would eventually appear on Ronnie Lane and Ronnie Wood's side project, Mahoney's Last Stand. The production of the album would continue to be hampered by Stewart's apparent lack of commitment to the project, and as a result of this situation, Ooh La La was, according to Ian McLagan, Ronnie Lane's album. Lane embraced the opportunity to expand his songwriting role in the band, and his increased contribution set the tone of the album's quieter, more reflective second side. I do like that second side quite a bit, more on that coming up. Despite the difficult circumstances of the recording sessions, producer Glyn Johns held the group together, helping to placate internal tensions. His efforts enabled the Faces to record a focused, concise album in the manner of its predecessor, A Nod is as Good as a Wink to a Blind Horse. Once the recording of Ooh La La was completed, the album's credits optimistically suggested an intention to work with Johns again in the future, with the comment, "Produced by Glyn Johns. See you in a year." Real quick before we get to how this thing sounds, is I wanted to go over a quote that Rod Stewart had right after this album was released. Kind of puts you in the mindset of where the band was at the time. Shortly after Ooh La La's March 1973 release, Stewart reported to the New Musical Express that he felt that the LP was, quote, "a stinking rotten album." He expounded further in the pages of Melody Maker, stating that the album was, quote, "a bloody mess, but I shouldn't say that, should I? Well, I should say it in a few weeks' time. Not now. I mean, the public ain't gonna like me saying it's a bloody mess. It was a disgrace. Maybe I'm too critical, but look, I don't like it. All that effing about taking 9 months to do an album like Ooh La La doesn't prove anything. But I'm not gonna say anything more about it." Sure you're not, Rod. Shortly afterwards, striking a rather more considered tone in an apparent attempt at damage control, Stewart told Rolling Stone magazine that what he actually meant to say was that the group was, quote, "capable of doing a better album than we've done. I just don't think we found the right studios or the right formula," end quote. Okay, Rod, we'll go with that. Lastly, Despite Stewart's misgivings, the album reached #1 in the UK albums chart during April, knocking Led Zeppelin's Houses of the Holy off the top spot and being the only Faces record to achieve that distinction. I have to say this, so what made me jump up and get this album? What made me jump up and get this? Well, I'm sitting here in my office on a Saturday morning a couple weeks ago, and I flip on YouTube on the TV, and I watch Norman Masloff's YouTube channel, Mazzy, and he just got this in the mail, and he talked a little bit about it, and I immediately went, holy crap, I got to get this before it's sold out. And yeah, this is a numbered edition. This is actually 2204 of 5000. So yeah, let's look at the presentation real quick. Rhino High Fidelity, as I've stated before, this is my second or third from Rhino High Fidelity. Anyway, really good cardboard stock here. This is darn near as good as Analog Productions or Mobile Fidelity or anything like that. Really, really good. I will say the spine is really, really thick, and I really, a lot of reallys there, isn't there? And it's tight fitting into the outer sleeve, just saying. Really got to get it in there, and there it is again. If this was a double album, I don't think it would fit. All right, back to the cover. There's the cover. It does not have the moving pieces, the face, or anything like that. I'm fine with that. That's just more to break as far as I'm concerned. Here's the back, and look at that center. That's just great. And I love the back, by the way. Tell you where the band was at the time. Who cares if Rod Stewart was a star in his own right? Look who's in the center there. That's not an original thought, Mazzy. You came up with that first. All right. Now, it did come with some nice candy on the inside. Came with this poster / lyric sheet. I'll open it up here. So you do get that for your money. By the way, this Rhino High Fidelity, just like everyone so far, is just under $40, $39 and change. Yeah, it's a little pricey for sure, but the way vinyl records are these days, and for the quality of this is probably in line with the right price. I don't have any issues with the pricing on this. But just like all the other ones, you get the obligatory photo of the tape box. So that's cool. I do like that. And then you open this up, and it's got a nice right up on the inside. So just like all the Rhino High Fidelity records, this is 180 gram vinyl cut from the original analog master tapes by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. Pressed at Optimal Media, heavyweight gatefold jacket. Yes, it is a very heavyweight gatefold jacket. Includes exclusive illustrated 4-panel insert featuring new interview with producer Glyn Johns and Faces Kenny Jones. Limited number of 5,000. And I think what'll wind up happening, I hope it wind up happening, is that all these albums come out first as numbered editions through Rhino High Fidelity. For instance, the Doors just came out with a box set, right, a couple months back, and they just released them all separately on a non-numbered edition, and I did go out and scoop up a few of those. Hopefully they'll be in the mail tomorrow. So why are we here? We want to talk about how this thing sounds, right? So how does it sound? First, let's talk about the tone stack. So overall, I think this is a very well-balanced record. Has really good bass, fat, warm, round, fills out the soundstage nicely. The mids are excellent, and that's what I found pretty much with the Rhino High Fidelity releases so far. The mids are really, really done well. It's got good solid punch. The vocals, piano, the instruments, the guitars. Oh, this album has all the classic rock and roll tones that you want. The organs on this thing is just lush. In a couple songs, they really provide a great palette in which the rest of the band can layer on top of. Really, really good mids. And as far as the treble goes, this album breathes. And that's what I've noticed again with these titles from Rhino High Fidelity. They breathe. They have a lot of air and space within the actual soundstage itself. The imaging on this. All right, so let's talk about soundstage real quick. Soundstage on this is wide. My speakers, you see one right behind me here. The soundstage is coming out roughly about 5+ feet left and right of the speakers to extend out that soundstage. And the height, I was getting sounds coming into the soundstage about 4+ feet higher than the tweeter. So yeah, getting up there about the ceiling level. Really nice soundstage, no complaints whatsoever. The depth on this is very good as well. I'm getting depth from about, so it's coming into the room a little bit. Some of the projected images that you'll see with your mind's eye, holographic images, are coming about maybe a foot into the room, but they're going back towards the wall. So the wall's 3 feet behind my speakers. You're getting a nice amount of depth there. No issues with the soundstage and imaging. I think it's extraordinary. And in fact, going with the image is so laser sharp and clear, and space between the instruments that on a couple songs, and I'll mention them here in a minute, I feel like I can walk around in my mind's eye in between the individual musicians. You could take a walk around the soundstage. The soundstage presents itself almost to the size of which I can envision these guys being on a small stage, or obviously in the studio, and you can walk around these players as the music goes. So the soundstage and image is really, really good. Yeah, back to the treble again. In addition to the overall airiness of it, the decay, the note decay and the instrument decay, cymbal decay, priceless. You can really hear that because the quality of the vinyl is very quiet. It came flat, came quiet, really no surface noise to speak of. I've been very happy with this release. However, on this record in particular, the music play is extraordinary, but the lead in to the second side, so you flip it over to side 2, and I've got an email I got to send out to Rhino High Fidelity on this, is I can't put the needle down in the dead wax before the second side starts because it is all scuffed up. It's got burrs. I've never seen anything like it. Thankfully it stops when the grooves start. There's no damage to the record, but I've never seen that. So again, quality control missed something on this one. I'll reach out to Rhino High Fidelity and I'll let you know if they send a copy back to me. So I bought from them directly, and again, it was $39 and change, $39.98 or something like that. Hey everybody, I just wanted to jump in here real quick and say I did send that email over to Rhino High Fidelity, and I got a very quick response from a Monique. And first and foremost, they apologized for any inconvenience I may have had regarding the damaged record, and then asked me if I wanted a full refund or if I wanted a new item shipped. Well, I'd like to have the new item shipped because the record is awesome outside of the scratches and the burrs on the dead wax going into the second side. So they sent me a follow-on email saying that as soon as it ships, I will have shipping confirmation and be able to track that and all that stuff. So they said keep their old record. They didn't want it back. So thank you so much, Rhino High Fidelity. I really appreciate it. All right, now back to Ooh La La. All right, so before we get into dB checks and some of the tidbits that I want to pull out from some individual songs, let's talk about, again, it's just some of the thoughts and words that I wrote down as I was listening to this album as it pertained to the overall sound. I thought that it was pure, I put, yet warm and clear at the same time. The presence of this record was very more from the mids. I think mids were pushed forward more than anything else, and again, luscious. It was a very warm sounding record. As I stated earlier, it breathes. The band's got a loose feeling, regardless of what I said earlier. They may not have been getting along very well at the time, but the band presents itself as very loose, engaging, a really good listen. And I said here, I just want to play this again and again and again. It is so much fun. It's only 30 minutes long. I do wish it was a bit longer. Really. All right, so on to some dB checks. So the decibel level checks, I did 2. I did 1 for the first song in the album and 1 for the last. The first song is called Cindy Incidentally, and the low end was 70 decibels. High end was 100 decibels, loud, for an average of 85, which is probably at the highest end of I'm comfortable listening to a record. 85 is about as loud as I want to get, and this thing was dancing. It was good. The second decibel check I did is on the last song of the album, and that's Ooh La La, my favorite song on the album, and we'll get to that later. But the low end was 68 decibels, high end was 95 for an average of 84. So yeah, those are the decibel level checks. It had a good amount of punch to it. I quite enjoyed it. So let's get on to side one. So side one starts with Silicone Groan. On this one, it starts off with a little tickling of the ivory keys on the piano, center and center right of the soundstage, and then boom, on the left side of the soundstage, Ronnie guitar comes in. It's warm, it's a little fuzzy, it's got that nice natural overdriven tone to it. And then the center, you've got the drum kicks in next, and you've got a fat, round, warm bass backing that up, and then you're off and running, and that's how the album starts. Later on in the song, the piano comes in, and sometimes it sounds like a honky-tonk piano. It's got that really cool vibe to it, but you can see the keys with your mind's eye coming out there. Center of the soundstage, it bounces to the right of the soundstage, and that piano is in space. That's pretty nice. I put great cymbal decay at the end of the song coming out of the right. Again, I talked about it earlier. When you don't have a fade out, when the songs do not have a fade out on this album and they just end abruptly, you're hearing some great room note decay coming out of the room. All right, that goes into song number 2 called Cindy Incidentally. And it feels like you're in the pub, you're in the bar. I thought, Cindy Incidentally, you have that great Rod Stewart vocal rasp, and you can hear the vibrato, the natural vibrato in his voice. I thought Rod's vocals on this album, not just this one song, but the rest of the album, I thought Rod's vocals projected really, really well. The best I've ever heard Rod's vocals. And I just put, a little bit of hair on Ronnie's guitar, which was really nice, coming out of the left side of the soundstage. So the third song on this album is called Flags and Banners, and it's one of the ones that Ronnie Lane helped write, and he sings lead on this one as well. Put a star next to this because it has become one of my favorite songs on the album. I really, really enjoy this. This is one of the ones that has the image in which you close your eyes, and in your mind's eye, you can take a walk in between the players that are sitting, right here in front of you. The image is so good and so big that there's enough space in between all of these instruments where you can kind of take a walk and a look around. This is how it comes in. These instruments are layered in their approach and how they come into the song. So first off, coming in from the left side of the soundstage is Ronnie Wood's slightly overdriven guitar. And then another electric guitar comes in on the right side of the soundstage. Third, you've got an acoustic, maybe mandolin. I've got to check what that instrument is, but there's another instrument that comes in on the left-hand side, just behind the electric guitar. In the center now, on the fourth instrument to come in, are the drums to kick in. The bass is number 5, and then coming in just before the vocals, an organ comes in on the right-hand side of the soundstage, and it is lush, folks. The organ in this song, oh, it is wonderful. Great, great tones coming out of that organ. And then Lane's vocals come in last. Yeah, it is too short. I mean, the song is 2 minutes and 3 seconds. It's too damn short. What a great song. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Great soundstage, great image. Coming in as the fourth song on side 1 is My Fault. And this is one to let you know, click tracks, right? If anyone knows what a click track is, keep the musicians on time. Well, there was no click tracks back in the day, and you could tell in this song because the tempo continues to speed up as they go along. A lot of Stone songs do that, I've noticed before, but on this one, for sure, the band is starting to pick up pace, and I'm not so sure it was intentionally as they were doing it, but it comes off great. So My Fault, it's big, wide, fat, warm fuzz tones coming out of this thing. Some excellent fuzz tones. It's a heavy song. It's rich. It's syrupy. It's warm. And what's nice about that is you've got the warmth of those instruments, and then Contrast that with the snappy drums and the clarity of the piano. It's a nice, again, a nice palette image-wise of some great fuzz tones, but then sprinkled on top of that are the piano and the drums. I put at the end here, as this thing fades out, you've got a really nice hi-hat shuffle coming in on the left side of the soundstage. Great song. All right, that goes to the last song on side one, which is called, if I'm pronouncing it right, Borstal Boys. Again, you're back in the bar. You hear an old car horn coming in the center of the soundstage and coming out like a ooga, an old car horn, right? On the left, I swear, like right where I'm sitting, as it pertains to the soundstage, is Ronnie Wood's guitar amp. It's right here. It's cooking. Those tubes must have been glowing bright orange because it's crispy as all get out. On the right-hand side of the soundstage is the piano. Rod's dead center, and he's grabbing that mic right in front. He's up front and center, and it's almost like you can see him peacocking around the stage. Really, really good song as far as image-wise, vocally. Yeah, I put peacocking around and strutting his stuff. That's what I can see with my mind's eye with Rod on this song. All right, now on to side two. Hey everybody, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for finding your way over here and taking a little bit out of your day to watch this video. It means a lot to me. If you like the content I'm putting on here, yeah, go down there and hit like. If you want to support the channel in another way, you can go down there and hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. All right, that's enough of this. Let's get back to some more ooh la la. The first song is one of those instrumentals that I talked about earlier, so Rod was probably off doing his thing, didn't decide to come into the studio that day. The rest of the band worked on a really good instrumental track, and it's called Fly in the Ointment. And it's crispy, it's punchy, great image, great rock and roll tones, great layering. It's a nice jam. I put Ronnie's slide is fat. It's a fat, fuzzy slide in this case, and it's center and it's right in space. Really nice slide right in the center of the soundstage. Layers and layers I put. Nice organ tucked in the back a bit. And then eventually, once that Ronnie slide solo fades away, the organ becomes more prominent. And the organ will go from being in the back right to more of a center front in the soundstage. Really nice. I'd never heard this instrumental before. And every time I hear it, I'm getting something new out of it. So there's a lot going on. Really cool instrumental. So the second song on side two is called If I'm on the Late Side. I put a star next to this one as well. This one really grabbed my ear, as well as the whole second side. I've really become a big fan of the second side of this album. It's got a lot more acoustics on it. Yeah, If I'm on the Late Side starts with, on the right-hand side of the soundstage, you got the acoustic coming in, and then the rest of the band comes in next, pretty much all together. And then, again, Rob grabs that mic, and he's right up front with it. And vocally, Rod has never sounded as good as I've heard him on this album. Love the organ I put here. It's like a base layer of the rest of the song. The organ is lush, and it supports the rest of the song really, really well. I put great drums as the song fades out as well. Very crisp, very clean. I've mentioned several times that this album sounds warm. Don't mistake that for not having detail as well. It's got both. It's a very well-balanced album. And you certainly hear that on the fade out of If I'm on the Late Side. All right, now the third song on side two is another Ronnie Lane song. Now, it's called Glad and Sorry, and it feels like you're in the pub again. In fact, you get a little bit of like ambiance type of voices that start out on the left-hand side of the soundstage and kind of work their way back into the center of the soundstage. Then the piano comes in, then the acoustics, the bass, the vocals, the drums, the rest of the band kind of filter in after that. So much detail in here. The individual vocals, it's like it's not multiple singers singing the vocals at the same time. You can see them with your mind's eye. They're blended, yet you can distinguish their voices, if that makes sense. The detail is so good on this song that you can actually distinguish the vocals. I'd never been able to do that before. In fact, I never knew that there were multiple vocals coming in at the same time. I just thought it was single, or maybe it was a double track of Ronnie Lane. Nope. The other band members are singing on this thing too, and you can pick them out individually. Really cool. But big, fat, round, warm, isolated bass. Great soundstage on this one too. This was one of the ones that really reached that 5+ foot mark, or I noticed it coming in left or right of the soundstage. Really nice soundstage. All right, let's get into song number 4, called Just Another Honky. Wonderful image. Everything is in space, and it's the faces in all their glory. This is a really nice, full sounding song. It's got great snare punch, great cymbal decay. You can hear the room, the air in the room on this song. This is the one that I mentioned where you've got great instrument decay to go along with the cymbal decay. The instruments stop and the tape's still rolling. You can hear that note decay really well in that empty room. All right, let's get on to the last song on the album, Ooh La La. Arguably my favorite song on the album, why I bought the album. Let's just say the presentation of Ooh La La on this Rhino High Fidelity release gave me chills. Awesome, awesome presentation of this song. It starts, well, first of all, this is one of the wider sound stages, or let's just say the way the music presents itself, it's taking advantage of the entire sound stage, and it's got excellent depth as well. The first thing to come in is, and Ronnie does both of these, but you got one acoustic coming in from the left, which is playing more of the rhythm. The second thing to come in is an acoustic on the right, which is playing more of the melody. Third thing to come in is Ronnie Wood's vocals. Yes, Ronnie Wood sings lead on this song. And then the bass, drum, and the rest of the bass and the drums and the rest of the instruments will kind of flow in very softly and very delicately after that. It's not a complicated song. It's more of, again, a pub sing-along type of song. If you haven't heard it before, go check it out. For those that you know, you know. Great song. And the best version I have ever heard this, hands down, on this album by Rhino High Fidelity. Excellent, excellent portrayal of this song. And it's only 30 minutes long. This whole album's 30 minutes long, so I keep wanting to go back and play it again and again. So what are my final thoughts on the last Faces album, Ooh La La? It's great. I mean, the music's great. This is an album that, when I bought it, I kind of did it, like I stated earlier. I saw it, Mazzy mention it, he just got it, and I went, oh, I got to get that before it sells out, because I'm a fan of the Faces. There were other albums that I liked better than this one, because I hadn't heard all the songs on this one before. You know, I heard the hits, Cindy Incidentally and Ooh La La, but the rest of them are really, really growing on me. This album is really, really growing on me, and for 30 minutes, come on. It's an easy one to just keep spinning, or if you don't have that much time in your day, just slap it on and put it on. Overall, you know, again, presentation is fantastic. Fantastic presentation. Good, solid quality. It's less than $40, and yeah, in 2025 records aren't cheap, but I do feel that these high fidelity ones from Rhino are really, really good. So yeah, I recommend it. If you like soundstage, if you like imaging, you're not going to go wrong with this one. As far as the music, you're getting all the classic tones. I mean, you've got the tube amps or valve amps from whatever side of the pond you're on. Again, Ronnie's amp's sitting right here behind me, and it's cooking and crackling. It sounds delightful. This album was a lot of fun, and I wholeheartedly recommend this thing. Yeah. So that's it, everybody. That's my thoughts on this wonderful album, Ooh La La, the Faces' last album, Rhino High Fidelity. They knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned with this one. If you're a fan of soundstage and imaging, go for it. So do yourself a favor. If you live in the Northeast like I do, good news is we're almost halfway through winter. The sun's staying up a little bit longer every day. Bad news is it seems like we're getting a snowstorm almost every 3 or 4 days. So again, we're in the middle of it. but we still got another half to go. So do yourself a favor, find some time to chill out. You deserve it. Maybe go out there and place an order for this thing. It'll set you back $39 and change, but if you're a fan, this is the one to get. So put some time aside, grab your favorite beverage, put this on the turntable, turn the lights down a little bit in your listening room, kick back and have a good time. Because this band here, the Faces, if anything, they're a good time band and they will make you smile. They made me smile. And this time of year, you need a few more smiles. So that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and until the next one, be well. Bye.